what is actually happening with the Golden State Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga. Because right now, it feels like we're all stuck in this weird limbo, where neither side wants to make the first move, but both know something has to give. And let's be real, Dub Nation. This whole situation is starting to look like one of those long, drawn-out breakups where everyone knows it's over, but nobody wants to say it out loud. So here we are again, another week, and surprise, surprise, another update on the Kuminga saga. The Warriors are still the only team in the league that hasn't made any real noise this offseason, and it's driving fans insane. The draft came and went, free agency is winding down, and yet the one big question still looming is, what are the Warriors going to do with Jonathan Kuminga? Now here's the thing. Talks between the Warriors' front office and Kuminga's camp have actually resumed. That's right. After weeks of silence, there's finally some dialogue going on. But let's not kid ourselves. Talking doesn't mean progress. It doesn't mean deals. It just means they're talking. But hey, after nearly a month of total radio silence, that alone feels like a small win. Especially when we're creeping closer to that October 1st deadline for his qualifying offer. And here's why that matters. If Kuminga accepts the qualifying offer, he gets a one-year deal worth just under $8 million. Doesn't sound too bad on paper, right? But here's the kicker. That deal comes with a full no-trade clause, which would give Kuminga total control over his future and the ability to hit unrestricted free agency in the summer of 2026. That's the leverage he's holding. And from all reports, he's willing to play that card. The tension in all this is how Kuminga views himself versus how the Warriors view him. Because if you believe the reports, and there's been plenty of them, Jonathan Kuminga sees himself as a star. Not just a role player, not a bench piece. A star. Someone who deserves a max or near-max contract, who wants to be the face of a franchise, not a rotational piece stuck behind Steph, Draymond, and Wiggins. And to be fair, he's not the only one who thinks that way. There was an anonymous source, reported by the San Francisco Chronicle, who said that Kuminga genuinely believes he's on the same tier as guys like Cade Cunningham, Scotty Barnes, Franz Wagner, and Evan Mobley. We're talking about young stars who've either made all-star teams or are trending in that direction. Kuminga's putting himself in that group. Now, whether or not he actually deserves to be in that conversation is a whole different debate. Because let's be honest here, as talented and physically gifted as Kuminga is, he hasn't exactly shown that kind of dominance on the court yet. Not consistently, at least. He's had flashes, moments where you think, okay, this guy could be something special. But has he put together a full season that justifies a max deal or a foundational role in a franchise's future plans? Not really. But this is where things start to get messy. Because while Kuminga might not have proven himself to that level yet, he clearly believes he deserves the chance to. He doesn't want to be used as a trade chip. He doesn't want to feel like just a pawn. And yes, that's the word that keeps popping up in the Warriors' broader chess game. He wants to be seen as a building block. He wants to know that the organization is investing in him, not just using him to chase another star. From his perspective, staying in Golden State doesn't give him that opportunity. He's made it clear, through multiple reports, that he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't see a future for himself playing in Steve Kerr's system, next to guys like Steph, Clay, and Draymond. He wants out. He wants freedom. And honestly, you can understand that. Because in a system like Golden State's, where structure is everything and role clarity is king, Kuminga is always going to be boxed in. But here's where things get even more complicated. Joe Lacob, the owner of the Warriors, loves Jonathan Kuminga. He's gone on record saying he wants Kuminga around for the long haul, that he sees him as part of the team's future. He's even the reason, reportedly, that Kuminga wasn't included in past trade talks. Joe sees the upside. He sees the potential. He sees a future star. The problem? Nobody else in the organization seems to agree. According to reports, there's a general consensus within the Warriors front office that Kuminga is not the guy who's going to carry the torch after Steph, Clay, and Draymond are gone. They don't see a franchise cornerstone. They don't see a future all-star. They see a talented player with potential, sure, but not someone worth building around. So now you've got this weird internal tug-of-war happening. Joe Lacob is trying to hold on, trying to keep Kuminga in the fold, probably trying to repair the relationship and avoid losing a lottery pick for nothing. Meanwhile, the rest of the front office, guys like Mike Dunleavy Jr. and even Steve Kerr, are probably looking at this and saying, it's time to move on. And from Kuminga's side, it's clear as day. He doesn't want to be in Golden State anymore. So why keep pretending like this is going to work? This whole thing is starting to feel like a relationship where one person is already mentally checked out and the other is still clinging on, hoping things magically turn around. It's uncomfortable, it's awkward, and it's holding the entire offseason hostage. The Warriors do have an offer on the table. It's been reported that they've presented a deal that would give Kuminga 2 years, $45 million. Only the first year, worth about $21.5 million, would be guaranteed, with the second year being a team option. But here's the catch. To get that deal, Kuminga would have to waive the no-trade clause that comes with his qualifying offer. That's a big ask for a guy who's already feeling like the organization doesn't believe in him. On the flip side, Kuminga can still accept the qualifying offer, that one-year deal worth about $7.9 million, and become an unrestricted free agent in 2026. But historically, that move rarely works out in the player's favor. Guys who bet on themselves that way often don't end up getting the big money they were hoping for. So Kuminga's playing a dangerous game if he really goes that route. From what it looks like, the Warriors are calling his bluff. They don't believe he's actually going to take the qualifying offer. They think he'll cave, that he won't walk away from $14 million guaranteed in the first year just to hold on to some imaginary leverage. And honestly, they might be right. But still, none of this is helping the team move forward. The front office has other signings to make. They've got moves lined up, free agents in the queue. And until this Kuminga situation is resolved, everything's in limbo. Yes, they've got plans to bring in guys like Al Horford, D'Anthony Melton, and maybe even Gary Payton II or Seth Curry. But they can't really pull the trigger until they know what's happening with Kuminga. And it's not like teams are lining up to swoop in and steal Kuminga away either. The Brooklyn Nets were the only team with enough cap space to make a significant offer sheet. But after their recent trade for Haywood Highsmith, they've lost that flexibility. So Golden State doesn't have to worry about another team coming in over the top. The threat is gone. They can sit back, hold the line, and see how this plays out. But for how long? Because every day that goes by without a resolution just makes the whole thing worse. It creates tension, it creates drama, and it creates distractions the team doesn't need going into a crucial season. This isn't just about one player. It's about the direction of the franchise. Are they still trying to win now with Steph? Are they trying to bridge into the future with young talent? Or are they just stuck in this weird purgatory where they can't fully commit to either path? Jonathan Kuminga was supposed to be part of that bridge. A young, athletic wing who could eventually take the reins once the older core stepped aside. But somewhere along the way, that plan got off track. Maybe it's the fit. Maybe it's the system. Maybe it's just the personalities involved. Whatever it is, it's not working. And now, everyone's feeling the pressure. Fans want clarity. The front office needs direction. And Kuminga, well, he just wants out. So where does it go from here? There's still time before that October 1st deadline. Still a window for both sides to come to the table and figure something out. But unless one side is willing to give a little, whether that's the Warriors increasing their offer or Kuminga softening his stance, this is going to drag on. There's a saying in basketball, sometimes it's not about who's right, it's about who's in charge. And right now, inside the walls of the Chase Center, that power struggle is more obvious than ever. On one side, you've got an ownership group led by Joe Lacob that's still emotionally invested in a player they once saw as a future star. On the other side, you've got a front office and coaching staff who've watched this story unfold day by day and don't believe Jonathan Kuminga is that guy anymore. But the problem is the longer this drags on, the more it affects everything else. Golden State's offseason isn't just about Kuminga. It's about retooling around an aging core, trying to squeeze one more run out of a dynasty that refuses to let go. Every minute spent trying to fix a relationship that clearly isn't working is a minute wasted not building toward what's next. And look, this isn't even about whether Kuminga is good or bad. He's clearly talented. The athleticism is off the charts. The physical tools are rare. And when he's locked in, you see flashes of a player who could be special. The issue is consistency. It's decision-making. It's feel for the game. And most importantly, it's fit. Because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't fit what the team is trying to do, both on and off the floor, it's never going to work. Jonathan Kuminga doesn't want to be a complimentary piece. He doesn't want to wait behind veterans. He doesn't want to be used situationally. He wants freedom. He wants touches. He wants responsibility. And you can't fault him for that. Every young player wants the chance to prove they belong at the highest level. The issue is that opportunity doesn't exist for him in Golden State. Not in Steve Kerr's system. Not on a roster that's still built around Steph Curry's timeline. Not on a team that needs win-now production, not development projects. And that's where things get even trickier. Because even if Joe Lacob is still holding out hope, the rest of the league is watching this unfold. Every executive, every GM, every coach, they're seeing the same things fans are seeing. Kuminga doesn't want to be in Golden State. Golden State doesn't fully believe in Kuminga. And the longer this lingers, the more damage it does to his trade value. The more teams start to ask, if he's really that good, why are the Warriors hesitating? Why hasn't this been resolved yet? That uncertainty creates hesitation, and hesitation kills deals. So instead of being a hot commodity with multiple suitors, Kuminga becomes a gamble. A maybe. And for a front office that's already shown reluctance to commit big money to young players, that's not a bet most teams are eager to make. Which brings us back to Golden State. What exactly are they waiting for? Because from the outside looking in, this feels like a standoff that both sides are losing. The Warriors don't get clarity. Kuminga doesn't get freedom. And the fan base is stuck watching this power play unfold with no real progress. At some point, something has to break. The most likely outcome still feels like a trade. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But eventually, if Kuminga refuses to buy into his role, and the Warriors refuse to give him the kind of deal or status he wants, this marriage ends in a separation. The only question is how ugly it gets before that happens. There's also the option of him accepting the qualifying offer, playing out the season, and becoming an unrestricted free agent next summer. But that route is risky for both sides. For Kuminga, it means giving up long-term security. For the Warriors, it means losing control of the asset. Once he hits unrestricted free agency, they have no leverage. They lose him for nothing. And you better believe that's in the back of Joe Lacob's mind. Because for a team that's already lost players without return, think Kevin Durant, think Otto Porter Jr., think Dante DiVincenzo, letting another promising piece walk out the door with no compensation would be a brutal blow. Not just to the roster, but to the image of the franchise. That's why this situation is so delicate. It's not just about money. It's not just about minutes. It's about identity. What kind of team do the Warriors want to be? Are they still riding with the veterans until the wheels fall off? Or are they transitioning into a new era? Because you can't do both. You can't ask young players to wait and then blame them when they get frustrated. You can't draft for the future and then keep mortgaging that future for the present. And you definitely can't sell a vision of development when the head coach doesn't fully trust the kids you're bringing in. That disconnect has haunted the Warriors ever since the two timelines idea got introduced. Remember that? When the Warriors tried to contend while developing James Wiseman, Moses Moody, and Jonathan Kuminga all at the same time. Yeah, how did that work out? Wiseman's gone. Moody's on the fringe of the rotation. And now Kuminga wants out. The experiment failed. And what we're seeing now is the fallout. The tension, the blame, the awkwardness. And somehow, through all of it, the Warriors still haven't figured out what they want to be. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. Whispers are swirling across the NBA landscape as the Golden State Warriors reportedly secure a deal with the towering Myles Turner, signaling a potentially seismic shift in the league's defensive hierarchy. Sources suggest that the Warriors, already renowned for their fast-paced offense and sharpshooting prowess, have strategically targeted Turner to cement a defensive identity that could redefine the team's historical legacy. Turner's ability to dominate the paint with rim protection, shot blocking, and defensive awareness has made him one of the most coveted big men in recent memory. and his rumored arrival in Golden State could spark intense speculation about how the Warriors plan to recalibrate their on-court strategy. Insiders hint that this move is not just about acquiring a star player, but about constructing a defensive fortress capable of stifling even the most prolific offenses, a concept the Warriors have been criticized for lacking in the past seasons. The buzz around Turner joining the Warriors includes whispers of an unprecedented synergy with the existing roster, suggesting that his presence could elevate the defensive performance of everyone from the perimeter defenders to the backcourt, potentially leading to a historic campaign where Golden State redefines what it means to be a championship contender in modern basketball. Industry analysts have been quietly observing the intricate dynamics that Turner's rumored signing could trigger, noting that the Warriors' front office has consistently demonstrated an uncanny ability to identify talent that complements their existing framework. Turner's shot-blocking metrics, defensive versatility, and ability to anchor the paint are seen as the missing components to a team often lauded for its offense, but scrutinized for lapses in defensive intensity. Rumors in locker rooms and social media circles suggest that teammates are already envisioning the psychological impact Turner could have on opponents, from altering shots to creating defensive chaos that forces turnovers and fast break opportunities. Sources close to the matter imply that internal team meetings have explored scenarios in which Turner's defensive mastery transforms the Warriors' style of play, potentially enabling them to dominate opponents both at home and on the road. This anticipated integration has sparked a fervor of speculation as pundits debate how the Warriors' offensive stars like Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson will mesh with Turner's towering presence, raising questions about how a defense-first approach might recalibrate their championship aspirations while still preserving the fluidity and pace that define Golden State basketball. The rumor mill has also ignited discussions around the broader implications for the Western Conference, as Turner's potential arrival with the Warriors could tilt the balance of power in ways previously unseen. Insiders suggest that teams will now have to strategize against a front-court anchored by one of the league's premier shot blockers, creating a ripple effect that may force rival franchises to reevaluate rotations, pick-and-roll strategies, and scoring approaches in the paint. Conversations circulating among former players and analysts speculate on how Turner's defensive dominance could extend beyond mere statistics, impacting opponent psychology and altering the course of games before tip-off. Whispered insights indicate that the Warriors' coaching staff is already conceptualizing rotations and defensive schemes designed to maximize Turner's strengths while preserving offensive fluidity, with hints that the team could deploy a hybrid defense that leverages his rim-protecting abilities while allowing perimeter defenders to maintain aggressive pressure. The chatter surrounding this possible signing has sparked a frenzy of speculation about matchups against elite Western Conference contenders, as the combination of Golden State's offensive firepower with Turner's defensive prowess could create one of the most formidable two-way teams in modern basketball history, a scenario that has fans and rivals alike buzzing with anticipation. Even more tantalizing are the murmurs regarding Turner's fit within the Warriors' locker room culture, a component often highlighted as integral to the franchise's sustained success. Sources close to insiders suggest that Turner's reputation as a cerebral, team-first player aligns seamlessly with Golden State's ethos, where communication, cohesion, and unselfish play have historically underpinned championship runs. Hush reports indicate that teammates are intrigued by the potential for Turner to mentor younger players in defensive positioning, timing, and anticipation, potentially enhancing the team's collective defensive IQ. Social media chatter and sports forums are abuzz with speculative lineups, imagining Turner as the anchor in a defense-first initiative that balances the Warriors' perimeter shooting with a dominating interior presence. Analysts whisper about the potential for historical comparisons, debating whether this combination could rival or even surpass previous defensive dynasties in NBA lore, creating a narrative of anticipation and suspense that has not been seen since the days of legendary teams with all-time great shot blockers. The undercurrent of rumor paints a picture of an organization quietly orchestrating a transformation, with Turner at the epicenter of a defensive identity that may redefine the modern basketball paradigm and reshape fan expectations for seasons to come. Finally, The speculation surrounding Turner's potential signing with the Warriors has sent shockwaves through the sports media landscape, with every passing day fueling a narrative steeped in promise and anticipation. Rumors suggest that the deal, while not yet officially confirmed, has already begun to influence draft discussions, free agent moves, and strategic planning across the league, as other teams scramble to respond to the possibility of Golden State boasting one of the most defensively intimidating rosters in the NBA. Insiders hint that the Warriors' front office sees Turner not just as a player, but as a cornerstone for a new era defined by defensive excellence, psychological intimidation, and championship ambition. The buzz around the league paints a scenario where Turner's ability to alter shots, dominate the paint, and influence offensive spacing creates a domino effect, potentially transforming matchups, game plans, and even the broader narrative of Western Conference rivalries. Fans and pundits alike are engaged in feverish debate, imagining the spectacle of a Warriors squad that combines elite shooting, high-paced offense, and historically dominant defense, creating an atmosphere where every game becomes a test of strategic ingenuity and resilience. As the rumors persist, the anticipation continues to build, leaving the basketball world on edge, eager to witness whether the Golden State Warriors, with Myles Turner as their rumored defensive anchor, can truly achieve a historic legacy unlike anything seen in the modern era. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.